Approaching the studio of Whiting Tennis, one begins to feel like they're walking into one of his paintings. His wooden sculptures are scattered outside his house and studio as if guarding or grazing in the yard. Inside the studio, Tennis is currently working on a piece for the upcoming exhibition at Kirkland Arts Center, Dimensional Invention. Represented by Greg Kucera Gallery in Seattle, Tennis has been making his uniquely lifelike structures and forms through drawing, painting, collage, and sculpture for the last 5 years. Through working in multiple mediums, it is all part of a united process as he explores and develops these forms. Tennis has received multiple awards, including a Nettie Artist Fellowship in 2007 and the Arlene Schnitzer Prize through the Portland Art Museum in 2008. His work has been shown from coast to coast in numerous solo and group shows and is in the collections of the Seattle, Tacoma, and Portland Art Museums. Today we will talk to Tennis about the evolution of his new piece through various preceding drawings and sculptures.
I think there's that first idea where the drawings could all sort of work together, and you would two or three forms would end up compromising each other, or they would merge into one singular form that would take the best qualities of three or four different drawings or three or four different ideas. And that was my idea going in, I think, and that was kind of ties into the theme of the show. So I was hoping that I could, in this discussion, initially I thought, okay, I'm going to have these drawings and it's going to prove that there's this two or three different ideas, and the final product would be a hybrid of these things. But in the end, it was sort of the reverse, where I think it ended up being like a selection process, because the form that I ended up going with, well, it's not arbitrary. It was my favorite form, but it was sort of a singular form on its own, and I was forced into a decision. I had to choose between form A or form B or form C. I couldn't come up with something that would encapsulate all those.
And these were drawings?
Different drawings, different ideas. I mean, I basically call whenever I start to make something, I find myself one morning with, I want to start a large scale, one of these larger sculptures, and it's just a matter of choosing. I look through drawings and I have lots of little, very small, jotted down shapes, and I could just choose from one and I just start building, or I make a couple drawings from there. But I have so many to choose from. There's just that tension between, you'd love to be able to basically come up with these forms that would be really, really a combination of all these things melted down into one thing, and that one form would represent all these different options. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. You end up having to decide that this is the one I'm going to make, and you have to let all those other ideas go, because you can't get one. It's sort of like a person. You can't have it both ways. You choose one person to be with, or one automobile, or one thing, and you have to make the decision. And these forms are as individual as that. Unfortunately, I mean, I'd like to think of them as really primordial and like iconographic or something, where they actually embody all these different things, but they end up being sort of idiosyncratic, and they're unmanageable in that way. That's just the way they are. If you start to compromise between two different drawings, you might end up getting neither. You'll get this thing that's a hybrid, but when you're doing those kind of unconscious drawings, what comes out is that it's just one individual flavor, one mood, or one attitude. I make a lot of drawings where the vertical shape of the character is basically enclosed. And there may be a portal, there may be a window or a hatch or some sort of thing where whatever is inside is looking out at you, but it's confrontational and saying, I will see you, but you can't see me. They're hiding. I like to mess around with geometry and how angles match. For me, this is an example of how something doesn't match, because this way it looks, like sort of like a body, and then you go like that, and it's like an impossible thing where it's too thin to be a real structure. And I kind of got into that fact. But you start with a drawing, but at some point you go with the materials, and the faster you can work, for me, not only the faster you get done, but also the more primitive the shape, the more the thing is, I don't know what the word is, it's just more self-contained in its own personality. My experience with this kind of these shapes is that there isn't one shape that's any more important than any other shape, as long as you let it invest in itself, and use the right materials and are lucky. But anyway, I ended up using this as a point of departure, to use a cliche, for the larger one. And I thought, like we were just discussing, I'd get in, I would use this as a starting point, block out the shape. You know, this is 1/4 scale. So 4 times this. I started in and I thought I'll get in there and then I will change this and I'll make it better. I'll make it more, whatever this is, it's going to be more. But I got in there and I hit a point where I thought, I was looking at it, I did not like it. I kept on looking back in here, why is this so cool? I don't know, I can't always improve on something, or, you know, it's like you basically have to be a little bit humble. If the shape works in one way, you have to go by your gut. And you go, this isn't working. I was looking at the thing, it was number one, it was getting too bulky, and it was getting too heavy. I want it to be sleek, I want it to be I want it to look like the model, I guess, and so it's with a small correction on the back. And so the pitfall from working directly from a model is that it's super anticlimactic. You know, there's not going to be, the only thing that's going to be different is that it's bigger. There'll be some corrections, I think, and some improvements, I hope. And I hope the scale will give it something, you know, I just hope that it has a presence, you know, we'll see. I think the tar will be really fun to do, and, you know. I go back to the gut, you know, when I come in and look at it in the morning, I go, that thing, I hate that thing. It's not right, and I don't know what it is. It's not measuring. Maybe it's the fact that it's just too heavy right now, or maybe it's the fact that I've lost faith in this, or something is telling you that it's dominating you, and it's making you feel weak, and like, now I have to put this in the show, and I don't really like it, and you start to resent it. And I don't know, it was weird. It was like an emotional thing. I would come in the morning and go, wrestle with it, and I'd find myself making other little sculptures and drawings and try avoiding it, because I thought, well, it's done, I just have to cover it in tar. And I go, no, this is a show, I want to make something that I really like. I don't want to just fill in the form and go, there's my piece, it looks like the model, or there's my piece, it's done. I really feel like this whole exercise of discarding that and building this I'm sort of rebonded to the whole project. I felt like I turned the tables on that thing, and it made it. I came in the next morning, I was like, yeah, I'm back.